What you just said ollie. Like, I was looking up some of your moves. Stalefish, saran wrap, Madonna. There's an eggplant in there. Like, where do these, like, were you and your dudes just like kind of hanging out drinking and naming tricks, or how did these come about?
I mean, in the early 80s, skating was just the Wild West. And if you made up a trick, the unspoken rule was that you get to name it. And so we just came up with the dumbest names.
So eggplant's like, just out of the sky.
Well, I didn't invent the eggplant, but
okay.
When you balance on one hand at the top of the ramp, that's called a hand plant.
Okay.
Originally. So this is using the front hand instead of the backhand, which was a new thing. Yeah. So it had to have a new name. So that it became the eggplant. Stalefish was actually, that's a funny story. That's a grab that I created. And it's a way of grabbing your board. You kind of use your backhand between your heels. And I was at a skate camp in Sweden, and I was keeping a journal because we were there for 5 weeks and we were bored out of our minds. And this guy came into my room while I was writing and grabbed my journal, totally rude. Yeah. And I was keeping it kind of cryptic. And he read Stalefish. What's Stalefish? And it was actually the lunch that we had. They gave us a tin of a whole fish in Sweden. And so I just wrote down, like, just to keep a reminder that we had that lunch. And he goes, Stalefish, is that grab where you reach behind your foot and you do? I go, yeah.
Yes, it is. It is now.
Sure. It is now. Yeah.
That's so good. And Madonna, is that you or somebody else?
No, I named that because it was a trick that I had just learned. And my friend and I were talking, and I said, I've been learning all these tricks and I feel like no one wants to learn the tricks that I'm doing. He goes, well, a lot of them are just too technical. I said, yeah, but I feel like there's some tricks that I'm doing that wouldn't be that hard to learn. They just think they're not cool. And he's like, well, then you got to name it something trendy. And it was 1985.
That was the thing to name it. I mentioned my son, Waylon, he's 6 years old. And he used to make me last year during the pandemic when we couldn't go places, indoors. And you know how this is. You need to get your kids outside. It's like, holy shit, what do I do? I take him to the skate park because he just loved to watch people skate. Like, thought they were the coolest people in the world. But I'm such an outsider that I'm like, son, I don't even know what to tell you about any of this. Like, we're just watching these motherfuckers. I'm like, yeah, it looks cool. I'm right there with you. So if I'm going to introduce him to the sport more formally, is there a young skater that he should be following along?
I don't know if that's the answer, really. Yeah. I feel like you got to let him explore it for himself. My best advice, especially to parents with kids that age, is get them all the right gear and safety gear and whatnot, but also take him to the skate park early in the morning, because that's when only little kids and old dudes like me are there. And the older guys are going to watch out. When you go there during prime hours, it's like a collision course. Yeah. And you don't know where to stand. You don't know, everyone's in the way. And there's a certain sort of expert flow that you need to get into. But if you take them early, like between 8 and 10 a.m., that's the best hours to learn.
Okay, well, that's a good tip. And then you just said it, like, there's this etiquette that exists, and guys are just like, it's muscle memory. Like, we know the rules of the skate park. And, like any outsider, I don't want to break the code. I don't want to, find myself in a skate park code break. So what are the no-nos at a skate park?
Don't stand on the obstacles.
Okay.
That's number one.
Okay.
If you see a set of stairs, don't sit on the stairs. Okay. Don't stand on the top of them or the bottom of them. If there's a ledge or something, stay away from the landing zone of that ledge. It's all, people will tell you in not so friendly ways to not be there, but you can kind of figure it out. I think most parks have a certain flow structure in terms of the direction of skaters. Yeah. And if you're opposing that, if you're like doing cross traffic, that's when it gets dangerous.
Okay. And is there like a slang word that refers to like a goofy dad that shouldn't be at the skate park that I got to watch out for if I hear some kids saying it?
I don't think so, but it would be thrown at me too. So
okay. No, I don't think so. Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.